bamboo backed. The hickory back bow is ready to tiller. I've got it completed, just need to tiller it out, but I need a string for it. So today I'm going to build a string. Now my string jig is very simple and homemade. It's nothing more than a oak board with a piece of 1/4 inch flat iron with two bars with pins welded to it, and then a smaller pin that comes out. This drops down in a hole, and I've got a hole drilled here in the center. So it's very simple. It will turn. I can loosen this nut and it will turn. I'll show you what that's for. But I mount it on my table. When I'm done with it, I pick it up and I hang it on the wall. This one here has already been set on the table. The grooves in the board so that I can adjust my length of it. Okay, I got my boards mounted down to my table. A little homemade string jig. And my string box out here. The materials, I'm using a BCYB 500 string. This is a good string for traditional bows. Works real good. I start out by making a loop. I just tie a knot with a loop in it. When my fingers work right, I do. Just like that right there. And I start out, put it on this pin here. Now you can go either way you want to. I usually go around to the back. This string's going to require 14 strands. That's 1, 2. And when you come to this end, and you're coming to your string on the pin, make sure you put it above the string that you just pulled. Because if you don't, you'll end up with a string or two that's longer than the other strings. Do the same thing on each end. And just continue till you get, that's 14. Now, like I said, this is 14 strands, and the way I determine it, of course it's going to depend on the thickness of your string, but I could build a 12 strand, probably a faster string, but it lacks the thickness I need for my arrow knock. Once I get my center serve on, it's a little thin. But you can do less strands and go back and, as you're center serving, put a strand or two of string laid on the bar where you're going to center serve to thicken it. Now I always do a square knot right here. Now I'll pull that, hold it together, but I always leave about 2.5 inches, something like that, on each strand, because I'm going to wrap that for my serving, which gives me a little extra strength and keep it together better. Okay, now you're probably wondering why it's mounted like this. What I do is I turn it. For these traditional bows, you need to add end serving to it where it hooks up on the bow. Now, where I tie this off, I like to keep it center. So what I do is when I turn that other end, it'll pull it off center. So I just pull it back just like that right there. And constantly have to push these down. If you build a better string jig than I did, you probably won't have to. Now this is my serving. It's a very inexpensive nylon serving. Now to start this, I don't know how to show it to you here by myself, no one to operate the camera, but I just take the thread and just go over top of it. I need to tighten up my serving spool, keep it from running off while I'm doing this. But I always pull this. Back toward the center. These servers are made. Makes a big difference too in serving. You can serve it. You can serve it without a server, but it's a pain. Now all you have to do is just wrap. You have to check. You have to check every so often to make sure you've not got this too tight. If you hear a strand pop in your serving, you know you're too tight. That'll make your serving weaker. Of course, I've got so many things that pops on this jig, and it's hard to tell. Now this is back served. Normally I take a Allen wrench and wrap around this like so. I pull this good and tight. You don't want to pull it and break it, but pull it tight enough that it tightens all the strings up. Now you can see my end tip serve is done. I turn my bar back like it was. I line these up. Now you want to serve these two together, and it's pretty much the same Same process. All this process is pretty much the same. And remember, one of your loops, your top loop, should always be a little bit larger than your bottom loop, because on a traditional bow, it will be set up, when you take that string off, it'll slide down the bow, and the bottom string will stay where it's at. So I just start this out pretty much the same way. Just start making some loops around my string to tie it in. Now some don't do that because it leaves a little fuzz on it. You can burn that fuzz off. It won't hurt a thing. Now you may be wondering about this back serving and why I have these pins that remove. I want to get that out of my way. You just simply, the string's coming off the bottom here, you go over the top and back around. You just keep pulling it around, just like if you're serving the string by hand. You just continue to do that. I don't know if you can see this in the video or not, but you continue to do that. I usually make about 10, 12 loops, something like that. 6, 7 fine. People do it different. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it across this string. Okay, nothing was lost with string popping off. You can see I've finished this one end. Now I'll go to the other end and I'll do the exact same thing. Now I was telling you about this string. I'll leave this on there and I'll just pull it out on this end. This one I have to push this way, which is hard because you're serving this way, but it will eventually wrap and be held down by the serving. So don't worry about that. And don't worry about anything. Now when you get to the end, I'll leave a little bit of room. It depends on how long you make your back serve, but I try to leave enough room that I can back serve. You just pull off your string enough to back serve with. You want to have plenty of loop. I'll show you the back serving again because this sometimes is hard to get. And back serving, you don't have to be a string builder to know how to back serve. Every bow hunter, everybody in archery should know how to back serve, because you may be in a situation where your serving comes loose. You may be in a tournament, may be in a tree stand, and your serving comes loose, and your bow itself, with the pressure that it puts on the string, will act as your string jig, and you can just sit there and run a little bit off, enough to back serve with, and just back serve it back to where it was at. Now I'm serving out my string on out about here. If it's a recurve bow, you need to serve the string down a little bit farther, because this part of the string will sit on the bow. Well, my string is done. You can see what I'm talking about with the tiller, and this needs to take some wood off this side, even it with this one. But the string is a little bit long. I'll just add twists to it to get the brace height to where I want it, usually about 7.5 inches. That concludes my video.